is live.
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Bowling Green Board of Commissioners for March 20th, 2018. Invite you to stand if you choose while Commissioner Williams offers our invocation and then pledge of allegiance.
Pray with me if you choose. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings of this life. We'd ask that you lead and guide, direct us as we consider the business that's brought before us. Bless and keep safe each and every member of our wonderful community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Denning.
Here.
Commissioner Nash.
Here.
Commissioner Perigin. Here. Mayor Wilkerson.
Here. Do we have any awards or recognitions tonight?
I do. I have one. I'd like to recognize the Finance Department for recently receiving their 7th consecutive award from the Government Finance Officers Association for Outstanding Achievement and Popular Annual Financial Reporting for the fiscal year 2017 PAFR report. Jeff, do you have any else you want to say about that?
This is the colorful version, condensed version of our big 150-page CAFR that we produce and hand out around December. You usually see around the holiday party that we have out by then. So I'd like to give special credit to Aaron Ballou, who puts this scene together, comes up with creative setups for it, tries to change it up a little bit every year to get this award. So we've been in the high 80s, and this year we peaked in at 90.5%. So we got our A this year on it. So, but proud of Aaron for working on it. She did a great job. So thank you all.
Congratulations to you. We're proud of you. Anything else on the awards and recognitions of commissions?
Yeah, I might congratulate the Warren Central Dragons for making it to the quarterfinals of the Boys State High School Basketball Tournament. Congrats, Dragons. Good job.
Like Coach Unseld and the rest of the team. Even Joe smiled when they got that far, didn't you?
They deserve it, I'll tell you.
Good season. Good season.
All right, Ms. Ward, I think you have a presentation for us.
I've got a few things under City Manager comments. Let me start with, we do need a closed session discussion, and Ashley will read the exceptions for that.
Pursuant to KRS 61810B, for the purpose of deliberations on the future acquisition of real property by the city, as publicity would likely affect the value of the specific piece of property to be acquired by the city. And F, for discussions which might lead to the appointment of an individual employee. This exception shall not be interpreted to permit discussions of general personnel matters in secret.
Moved.
Second.
Nash, second by Williams. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams. Wilkerson, sorry.
We do not anticipate any action to follow that discussion. All right, so second, at the request of one of the commissioners, Meredith Rosansky from the Bowling Green Area Chamber of Commerce is here to provide an update regarding workforce development efforts and introduce Robert Boone, which is the South Central Kentucky Workforce Development Board President and CEO.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for the invitation to come back before you and give an update on our workforce efforts. As you know, you fund a position at the Chamber, our workforce coordinator, and so what that person does is on a weekly basis, it reaches out to all of our targeted sector companies in Bowling Green and Warren County, so those that qualify for incentives, typically the ones that you're extending JDIP incentives to. And we gather from them all of their current openings as of that week, and so if it's something that's new, we get the job description from them as well, and we also gather how many of each position that they're looking to hire. And then we share that information on a weekly basis with about 200 workforce partners from around the region, those that are interacting with the job seekers so that they're aware of all of the opportunities. And so that weekly list, it ranges typically between 600 and 800 openings for just those companies. As you know, we put out a monthly report for our whole 10-county region, which lingers somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 openings across all sectors for the whole 10 counties. But again, we're very focused on the targeted sector companies, since those are the ones that both you and the state have incentivized to be here, and those are the ones that truly grow our economy. So they're bringing new money into the area. And so We wanted to be able to provide additional information related to the job seeker side, since that seems to be what a lot of the questions surround. And so I'm excited to announce that the Workforce Development Board has hired their first ever president and CEO. And so that is Robert Boone, and he is going to give you a bit of an update on some of the efforts that they're doing, retooling the Career Center, what you previously knew as the Unemployment Office, but that will be no more. And then working with the state staff that are located there as well through the Office of Employment and Training, the Office of the Blind, and Office of Vocational Rehabilitation as we sort of transform what should be a true one-stop into being that for our community. So with that, I will turn it over to Robert, unless you have any specific questions for me.
Just one minute. Those reports, who gets that report here at City Hall?
We'll have to look at the list, but I'm happy to add anybody who wants to be on there. So if you'd like to receive it on a weekly basis, we're happy to send it to you.
Well, not necessarily a weekly, a monthly basis would be fine, whatever you want to do. But I just wanted to make sure that we got a report.
I'm sure it is sent, but I'll verify who it's going to.
I get the monthly report. I
get
don't
it.
get the weekly ones.
I get it, and it's email. All you gotta do is get it on the email.
Like I said, we add anybody who wants to be added. We send it out through Constant Contact, and so we're happy to put anybody on there who would like to be informed of what those positions are. I'll be happy to add you.
Thank you. On that report, do you have just total numbers, or do you have a breakdown of individuals, et cetera?
We'll actually show you the actual jobs, and you can click through to the company websites and actually apply. Okay.
Thank you. He has, I know Mr. Boone's former colleague from where he came. He actually served as a city commissioner before, so he knows what we're looking at too.
I did, and it was a pleasure to serve the city of Maysville, Kentucky as a city commissioner. And I come before you tonight to talk with you a little bit about what we have done in the Kentucky Career Center and with the South Central Workforce Development Board, and it's a pleasure to be here. We've done several initiatives, and as you all know, I serve a 10-county area, South Central Kentucky, so some of the initiatives I'm going to talk about this evening relate just to Bowling Green and Warren County. Some of them are all-encompassing sorts of initiatives, and one that I'd like to start with is a focus on customer service in our Kentucky Career Centers. It's no secret that Kentucky Career Centers throughout the entire state have not always been known for excellent customer service, but that is our goal in our office with our affiliate sites, which now number 14 all throughout the 10 counties of South Central Kentucky, and 2 sites that have been in existence for quite some time, one here in Bowling Green on Chestnut Street and the other in Glasgow. With customer service, we are focusing on interacting with people. You know, we live in an age where people call hotlines, and there's a UI hotline at the state when someone goes on unemployment insurance, and we want to not operate that way. So when someone comes to our center, we want them to connect with a staff member right off the bat. So we've instituted a system whereby there's someone in the front of the building that is able to offer career counseling as soon as someone walks into the building, and then navigate that person to where they need to go. In addition, we are calling lists of people. It's a customer service kind of sales approach where if someone goes on unemployment insurance, then we call them and just let them know about the services that we offer, set up an appointment for them if that's what they would like, or call them back in the future if they need an appointment at a later date. We also have a state jobs portal called Focus Talent. That's a self-registration portal. So in the past, people who registered maybe didn't get a follow-up. So we are sure to call them as soon as they register to let them know that completing the Focus system is just one piece of the employment puzzle that we can help with. In addition, individuals who come in for job fairs sign in. We call them after the job fair to make sure that they got the assistance that they were there to receive. If they got employment, then we offer retention tips and just work with them on retaining employment. If they didn't get employment, we find out why and how we may help them in the future. So that's the customer service piece. In addition, we have several targeted initiatives. One is for our international community. And we have done a lot actually in partnership with the city of Bowling Green, and like to thank you all for that. One of our initiatives that we realized that we needed early on is cultural competency training for our staff. And the city was very kind to let our staff participate in that training that was undergoing. We also didn't have really clear access to language lines as an interpretation service at our center. Now all of our staff members have access to a language line, so if someone comes in, there isn't just one phone. Everyone has a phone that they can use for multiple languages. We also have a single point of contact for our international community, which doesn't mean that not other staff members can help job seekers in the international community, but it means that it kind of cuts through some of the ambiguity of who handles what. We have one staff member who is primarily charged with being a single point of contact. We also have done a very successful event to date program, really, and what I hope will continue with other employers in the area, and this is contextualized learning of ESL. So with Simpson County Literacy Center as one of our partners, we have piloted an initiative at Pan Austin that focuses on learning English as it relates to work. So at the workplace, ESL classes are taught. They're taught with safety and production in mind so that people can be safe and productive in that work environment. We hope that other industries and other employers in the area will take this model, and it's certainly something that we can offer in large volume if need be. In addition, we have an event that's going on right now. We got a $20,000 grant extended for a senior recruitment initiative. It's our goal in all 10 counties that those high school graduates who aren't immediately going on to post-secondary education have employment right after they graduate. So we are working in the schools now actively. Greenwood, we just met with yesterday. We have Bowling Green High School coming up, Lighthouse Academy in South Warren, and new schools are coming on the list every single day to meet with students who are going to be graduating soon, to work on resume writing, and then once they complete a resume, our staff are going to help connect them to employment post-graduation with the goal of 100% employment for those who aren't immediately going on to college afterwards. We also have veterans initiatives. We are at Fort Campbell just about every week and have a presence there. I think there's huge potential there. We need to really gear up some initiatives in that regard. I have a dream of being able to transport transitioning service members here and letting them know what offerings we have in the area, because I'm a firm believer that you have to love where you live before you find the job in many respects. So Bowling Green has so many great things to offer that I'd like to have them see that firsthand, and then we can work on the employment piece. So that's something that we're working toward with our initiatives at Fort Campbell. We also have ongoing career fairs, hiring events, I like to call them, because that's the outcome. We have a Career Connection event every month here in Bowling Green that's usually attended between 70 and 100 people, and which the numbers have increased. We have one in Glasgow as well. In addition to that, on a regular basis, we have international job fairs, which we hire interpreters for. Those usually have an attendance of about 70 to 90, and good company participation, good job seeker participation there. And we also have an eye toward, our unemployment rate being so low, labor force participation being what it is, and also having a vast number of open jobs, a wage opening and fringe study, which we funded, and which the Bowling Green Area Chamber has been very great to help us get the word out about this survey. For all of the sectors that we serve in all 10 counties, it's a comprehensive survey of openings, of wage, and of fringe, with the goal of confidentiality, but also to have our employer customer, because we have two, job seekers and employers, to know what the average wages are, what the average benefits are, so they can look at recruiting and retaining employees in the area as one piece to the puzzle. We have an expungement event coming up in May. We had two successful expungement events last year, with the last being in October. We have a youth leadership initiative for all 10 counties that is going to, this is something that just started, but going to engage youth in soft skills development and leadership development to help them with a piece of the employment puzzle that's often very difficult for many people, and that's soft skills and finding a job with those kinds of deficiencies, and more importantly, keeping a job with those kinds of deficiencies. This programming is tailored to help meet those issues where they are and move beyond it. We also have other soft skills programming as well that we're currently evaluating, especially since we're going to see an influx of individuals who are on Medicaid due to the Medicaid transition at the state level, which starts over the summer. We're trying to put more programming in place so that we can help our internal capacity and, more importantly, help put people back to work, because that's our number one focus. And I'm happy to try to answer any questions you all may have.
I understand your role is, tell me your title, and then I got to ask.
I'm president and CEO of the South Central Workforce Development Board, and we also activated a nonprofit which is called Canova Works, and that is to diversify our funding streams to aid in more innovative programming that we can't use federal dollars for.
And state employees report to you?
They do not directly. We have a system. And I am our one-stop operator at the Kentucky Career Center manages the what I call our house, the Kentucky Career Center, and they provide a level of management, as do I, with state employees. But as far as hiring, terminating, that sort of thing, I'm not involved in that process.
So your role is to coordinate the various agencies and their little silos and disparate interests to try
yes.
to herd all those cats in the same direction.
That's right. And you know, as you mentioned, without having the authority to hire, terminate, my authority is pretty limited. So it is kind of trying to gather, is kind of like herding cats in a lot of ways. But the goal is a systems approach, because we're stronger as a system and we each do different parts of the workforce system. So that if someone comes in and they're homeless, then we can help them with the employment piece. But what do they need that's above and beyond that? Kind of like a hierarchy of needs. Well, we need to work with our representation and our partnership that helps with homelessness is just one example. So that's why we have the partnership in place, and that's why we're trying to activate that, because we're a more robust system and a system that can help more people that way.
Understand?
How do we identify success?
We can identify success by several measures. I think we identify success primarily in our line of work by employment and retention.
How are we doing on success?
We are doing better than we were. I think that with retention, we need to strive to actually have better numbers with retention, not only because our employers aren't necessarily retaining, but sometimes it's difficult to follow up with, because usually in our line of work, sometimes and oftentimes what happens is once you get someone a job, they kind of disappear. And that's one of our goals. The other piece is retention, but sometimes we don't always know about the retention because it's difficult to get in contact with them. But that's something we can put safeguards in place to and build relationships to then be able to get better data.
What's our goal? What's your goal for success then? If the answer is how successful are we is we're better than we were, where will we be? What's your next marker to be able to say we're achieving what we want, or we're over it or under it?
I can provide a detailed report of our internal measures, but for sake of this conversation, I want our jobs filled. So, and that's in many regards might be an impossibility, but we can certainly try to get there, and that's my intent, is to try to get there, to fill the jobs that we have open. And that's both a short-term strategy in filling jobs, and that's also a long-term strategy with initiatives like working in high schools, working with the veterans population, working to recruit individuals outside the area to come in. All of these will bear fruit. We don't know at this point how much fruit, but I'm hopeful that if they're done correctly, they will bear a lot of fruit. So we have both a short-term strategy and a longer-term, more pipeline kind of strategy. In addition to that, with developing a nonprofit foundation, we can do more diverse things that we can't do with federal dollars, which really an area with low unemployment and many, many, many open jobs really needs to look at that sort of diversification.
How many I'm sorry? How many open jobs do we have now? Is it over 6,000?
Well, in the 10-county area, the last report I received was about 7,000 projected open jobs in the 10-county area. And there are some things we've done to help alleviate that in the short term. I mean, many things, but a few things in particular is the CDL partnership, for example, that we helped start with SkyCTC. That program is going to be based in Franklin due to logistics, but when you look at the demand for CDL drivers, most of the demand is here. And in fact, when you look at the data, it is the #1 open jobs category that we have, usually ranging between 500 and 700 openings per month in the 10-county area, and we had no CDL program. So our board actually wrote a grant from the state for $74,500, and we were recently funded to help get that program off the ground, and also to help with scholarship money, because again, we can't do everything with federal dollars.
Excellent.
Robert, do we not have put any responsibilities on the individual entities that hire these people to give some type of report back as to their numbers and our retention?
There is a level of that, yes. But as far as in federal law, as far as repercussions, there isn't anything in federal law. But with building greater partnerships, with having better relationships, which is something we're striving to cultivate and do, and provide industry with what they need. If we provide them with what they need, I think that they will let us know. And, I don't want to give the impression that that is the main barrier, because it's not. We have great working relationships with all of our employers, and certainly either directly or through our area chambers of commerce, we have really, really good relationships with our employers. Sometimes, and most of the time, really all the time, in fact, if someone is getting federal funding, the burden is on the individual that got funded to remain in contact with the center, and that is the priority that we really need to focus on.
Many of these companies, or whatever the case may be, have affirmative action programming. Now, if they're receiving federal dollars, I am sure they have. But do many of them have affirmative programs to where they said they're going to hire minorities and females, et cetera?
Yes, sir. To my knowledge, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, in particular, you really have a limited amount of customers. 3% unemployment is, so if you're, I know there's a large underemployment factor out there, but I'm most interested in what your initiatives are to bring people from outside of our area to fill these jobs, and what's your vision in that?
Sure. Well, the vision for that is broad. We need more funding capacity in order to really make that a reality, and not only funding, but partnerships. We need more partnerships to make that happen. And I think it'll get there, but I think really what we need to look at, for instance, I mentioned with Fort Campbell, I think that strategy, going there once a week is good. But in order to get the kind of capacity that we need, we're going to have to do well beyond that. And we're going to have to build a really strong partnership with Fort Campbell, and a lot of buy-in from the soldiers there and from the leadership. And that's something that we're nurturing and working toward. Outside of that, though, areas of the country and state that are undergoing layoffs, those areas we get notifications and certainly reach out to those employees. Usually you try to reach out to the employees, which can be difficult because many of the economic development authorities and career centers like we are, the last thing they want is to lose their workforce. So it's very difficult to work through them. But there are ways to do it so that you can be appealing to those workers who lose their jobs. Also, we have great potential with alumni of our post-secondary institutions in the 10-county area, and I think working on those relationships before they are alumni to work toward placement and retention is a great strategy, and also reaching out to alumni bases that maybe moved away, because I think most of us have really good feelings about where we went to college, and if an opportunity happened to arise, we would look at that seriously, and I think we have a lot of potential there too. Not as much as probably with Fort Campbell and others, but I think we need to concentrate on that strategy as well.
Questions for Mr. Boone?
One other, Robert. What type of an hourly wage or salary does the individuals that are accepted for training get? Because they got to live, they got to eat. What is that, and what are their amounts?
We do not have a policy for wage of self-sufficiency, but what we do have is an internal metric, and we use the metric of $13.50, and that was based on a recent United Way study that was completed in the region.
So an individual that we pick to go into training is going to draw $13.50 an hour during that training period.
That is back to Mr. Commissioner Nash's question about performance metrics. This is one. There are many performance metrics. This is one metric. It's not a guarantee, but it's something to strive for. And in some of the occupations, you strive for well beyond that. But in our area, again, based on previous research, $13.50 is an internal metric by which we measure ourselves in terms of how we are with productivity. They do not get paid while they're going to training unless they're, for instance, in on-the-job training contract or something like that. They do get a wage while in a contract like that, and that's one sort of short-term training to help someone get skills and kind of get their foot in the door with an employer. They do get paid wages from our board for training such as that.
That brings up my next question, I guess. Say an individual is already drawing, let's say in Kentucky, unemployment compensation, and the individual is accepted to go into a specific area of training. Can that individual continue to draw his unemployment while in the training program?
They can work up to, I don't know this off the top of my head, and I apologize, but they can work a certain number of hours, and I can get that information to you. They can work a certain number of hours and still maintain their unemployment status for UI benefits.
Okay.
You mentioned that you worked with some post-secondary education alumni lists. I think there are some high schools in our area that have very active alumni associations as well. And if you're not tapping that resource, that might be a suggestion that you would look to those folks, not necessarily just Western grads, but maybe some people that made it through high school and didn't choose to go on to any further with their education. They may be looking to come back.
That's a very good point. Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Boone? Very much
All
for
right.
coming in. We appreciate
Thank you
the
all.
information.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thanks again, Meredith. You had one other thing, didn't
I've
you?
got one more thing. You may recall a few years ago, we put together a staff committee to start looking at what we could do in the downtown for improvements. We've already started that ball rolling when it comes to Fountain Square improvements and doing the rest of the downtown improvements. But another piece of that was implementing a wayfinding system, which would help people visiting the downtown sort of navigate their way through. About a year or so after we started that process, the Convention and Visitors Bureau came to us and said, look, we're looking at something that's more citywide. Let's partner together and see if we can't do this process as one. And so we basically said that's a great idea and turned it over to the CVB. And they're actually ready to start putting some signs up. So I felt it was important that Vicki came here and kind of gave you an update of where they are in that process. So Vicki?
Thank you for inviting me, Katie. Appreciate being here. Just real quickly, we'll go through a few slides. But I want to say first, we could not do this project without our consultant and project manager, Jeff Moore. He has been tremendous. He's walked us through every step of the way, and he is completely invaluable to us. A little background, when we started the project, we had 8 tourist attractions in the program. And this was city, county, state, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau working together to make this happen. Now we will have 23 attractions in the program. Some of those additional attractions have various kinds of signage, and we realized that they needed one kind of signage. Visitors are getting lost. We have brown signs and green signs and blue signs and all these different programs that there are, and now we do have one. So all 23 will be in this cohesive program. And here's an example of one. The font has changed and the words have changed on some of these signs, but we wanted to bring this to you today to show you the color of green, because so many people have asked, what color green? Because of Bowling Green. And the design was, we wanted to have something that flowed along with what Operation Pride had started in the entryways of our community, with the arched and the black, the white letters on the black. So again, we have a flow to this, and very happy that we came to a great agreement. It's been a pleasure working with the city staff on this. This slide will show you a couple of the other signs. There are 93 signs in the full system of the tourist attraction wayfinding. 77 are what we consider suburban signs. There are 2 sizes of those. And then there are 16 signs in the downtown. And there are some examples of the different signs, the different posts that you will see. And the breakdown, right now, the total project is at $281,000. For the downtown section, that total cost is right at $27,000. And when we started working together on this, we had not put the more expensive decorative posts in what we were intending to do, and the city was interested in doing that to match, which was a great idea. So in that, you wanted an estimate of about where we would be with the city's financial portion of this. And right now, if there are no change orders, we will have $7,170. And with that total cost being $27,265 downtown. And the proposed work plan, you've invited us. It's a great time. We have the contractor here this week. Today they did over 40 staking of signs. We've got 93, and a few of those are on other structures, so they're over halfway through. We're very excited about that. Looks like that's going to wrap up a little bit early. And we are thrilled to say that we are way ahead of schedule on installation, and they're going to be installed next month. So we're hoping for the April 2nd through 14th dates, weather permitting. But, you know, all this takes time. 93 signs have got to be checked for utilities, that there are no utility problems with where they're going to put the posts in, and so there could be some leeway, but we're thrilled that they will be up before the big tourist season starts for us. If anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Look forward to seeing those up. They'll be up by the end of April, you said.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything else you said? Approval of minutes for our regular meeting on March 6, 2018. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Nash, second by Williams. Are there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning. Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance BG 2018-13.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 1.7048 acres from agriculture to multifamily residential located at 113 Middle Bridge Stub Road, presently owned by J&T Property Management Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second by Williams. It's a second reading of a unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning. Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
You'll remember me one of these days. Municipal Order 2018-41.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Courtney P. Howard to the position of Administrative Services Supervisor in the Police Department.
Second.
Motion by Nash, second by Perigin. Ms. Ward.
The Administrative Services Supervisor position became vacant back in June when I stole Jennifer Edwards from the Police Department and moved her over to administration, which, thank you, by the way, I appreciate that. But for now, obviously, we've got this new position to get filled. We did hold the position vacant for a number of reasons. There were some administrative issues that we were dealing with back then. But since that time, HR did go through its normal advertising process. We did receive 73 applications. 22 met minimum qualifications and were forwarded to the department. I think 6 people were selected for interview, but actually 5 took place. And Ms. Howard is recommended for the appointment. Ms. Howard is here. If she'll stand and be recognized.
Congratulations, Courtney. We're proud for you. Anyone have any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes.
Courtney, I want you to know how lucky you are that Commissioner Denning did not notice that you graduated from Greenwood High School.
I'm looking at it right now. I've got it. I got an X right by it. But knowing our police department like I do, I know Major and the chief back there screened her real well, and she's probably at the top of the line.
And you're welcome to slip out if you want. We know we've made you stay a little longer than you should expected to. So please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin. Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-42.
Municipal order approving amendments to the Administrative Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual for classified employees.
So moved.
Moved. Second.
Perigin, second by Nash.
As with any policy, one requires periodic review and update from time to time. The last major review for administrative personnel policy was in 2014. And so we had a committee put together to come forward and update that process and provide some recommendations. And I'd like for our Human Resources and Risk Management Director, Mike Grubbs, to come forward and provide you an overview of the review process and proposed revisions and answer any questions you have.
Good afternoon. As the city manager said, we last adopted a manual in 2014. About as soon as you have one adopted, you start getting suggestions for future changes, finally bringing that to you for consideration. The proposed changes were reviewed with the senior management at the beginning of December, and then posted on our intranet the suggested changes along with the document actually showing the proposed language changes. So that employees would have an opportunity to review that. Had to go back and make one change after the commission changed the ordinance regarding concealed carry. Went ahead and incorporated that. Provided this to the commission about a month ago. I'll just give you an opportunity to look at it ahead of time, see if you had any questions. The mayor did provide one suggestion on a change in the carry concealed weapon policy, which I incorporated and referenced in the memo that was submitted with the municipal order, but I'd be glad to answer any questions you all have.
Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-43.
Municipal order approving the appointment of Jane Bartholomew and reappointment of Linda Neal to the Hobson House Commission.
Second.
Nash, second by Perigin. This is reappointment for Ms. Neal, who has served on the Hobson House Commission for quite a while, and new individual who's been volunteering down there, Jane Barthelemy. We appreciate her interest in doing it, and thanking Ms. Carter for her service up to this point. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-44.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting a portion of bid number 2018-43 for Sloan Convention Center fiscal year 2018 capital projects for the replacement marquee sign from Signs Express of Bowling Green, Kentucky in the amount of $65,000.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, second.
Yes, this item was discussed earlier at the Convention Center Corporation Board of Directors meeting, but essentially we are recommending the approval of a portion of this bid to replace the sign, which is located at the corner of Wilkinson Trace and Scottsville Road. But then the other portion of the bid came in over budget, and so we are looking at, I understand, rebidding that portion at a later date, but we did want to move forward with the sign replacement at this time.
I just want to confirm that this is a new Watchfire 10 millimeter sign. Okay, thank you.
That's great. What is that?
It's the one out there by the...
Right.
Next to Scottsville Road? Kind of difference in prices, isn't it?
Anything else? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning? Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-45.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2018-48 for banking services from U.S. Bank for a period of 5 years with an option to renew for 3 additional one-year periods.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. You confused me on the bid number being just 3 digits off from the municipal order number. Ms. Ward.
We have a banking contract, a 5-year banking contract, which is up for renewal. And so the Finance Department issued a request for proposals to seek new banking services. We have to do that every time this contract does come up. The city received 3 responses, one of which was deemed non-responsive, but based on the other 2 proposals, those were evaluated. And U.S. Bank is recommended to receive the contract for the next 5-year cycle, plus, as Ashley mentioned, an additional 3 years at a 1-year at a time approval process. So we could have up to 8 years with the banking services. And Chief Financial Officer Jeff Meisel is here to explain the evaluation process and benefits of using U.S. Bank.
Questions or comments? Jeff first. Do you have anything to add?
This was an evaluated bid, and as in the memo I stated, we based it on a couple different things, but able to provide the services we need. We're not exactly Mayberry RFD when it comes to banking services needed. We don't just take a bag of money to the teller at the bank. We have 2 lock boxes. We have a lot of technology in place, and there's not many banks that can service what we need with the ACH payments we make. We have an on-site deposit that we can deposit things sitting right over in the office across the street there. So we based a lot of things on what we needed, and then the pricing came into place. You'll see the earnings cost analysis section, what the rate we're proposing. We're doing the earnings credit set up. It's like a compensated balance. We hold so much on deposit. What we make on that money covers all our fees plus more. And so we thought this was actually end up being a really good exercise in what we're getting with this proposal. So we're recommending U.S. Bank. And there are representatives from U.S. Bank here tonight, too.
You know all 3 of those from U.S.
I
Bank?
do know all 3 of them very well, so.
I do too. I've watched them over the years, and they're good folks.
Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. You guys are welcome to slip out if you want to. Municipal Order 2018. Yes, sir. Municipal Order 2018-46.
Municipal order approving a contract through cooperative purchase with Kenny Machinery Corporation of Indianapolis, Indiana, under the Kentucky State Pricing Contract for the purchase of 7 pieces of Toro equipment for the Parks and Recreation Department in the amount of $201,034.03.
Second.
Motion by Nash, second by Perigin. Ms. Ward.
The last couple of years, we've been trying to get caught back up in our equipment replacement process. So obviously, this year's budget had quite a few pieces of equipment for replacement. And I believe these 7 are the last in the Parks and Rec Department to be replaced, and they're replacing some Toro equipment with Toro equipment. And we wanted to do that through state pricing contract. And if you have any additional questions, Brent Belcher is here to answer those.
Questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-47.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting repairs to a sign truck lifting apparatus from Stam Manufacturing of Fort Pierce, Florida, in the amount of $46,600.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Denning. Ms. Ward.
Back in August, the sign truck ran into a pole and had some issues. So we had to have some repairs done to the truck and to the lift apparatus. We were able to do the repairs to the truck and some other minor repairs in-house, but we needed to ship off the lifting apparatus to the manufacturer. We did receive insurance proceeds to pay for this cost. I have to bring it to you because it's above the amount that the city manager can approve. So essentially, we're asking for your approval for this amount. We had received an estimate that was over $65,000, but the actual cost came in at $42,000, or $46,000. So better in the end than,
It's fully covered by the insurance.
yes.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2018-14.
Ordinance amending Code of Ordinances. Ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances to repeal Subchapter 222 Green Waste Commission of Bowling Green and Warren County and delegating duties of the Green Waste Commission to the Bowling Green Warren County Metropolitan Planning Organization Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
So moved.
Second.
By Perigin, second by Williams. This is placed on the agenda by me at the request of the Green Waste Commission and the Metropolitan Planning Organization, both of which have offices at the Planning and Zoning Office. And what it is basically the Green Waste Commission was formed to distribute and use up the funding that was first appropriated back many, many years ago. And the funding, of course, has dried up over the years, and it's more of an advisory committee now, which fits better as a committee underneath the Metropolitan Planning Organization rather than a standalone operation that Mr. Peterson has to run. So if there's any comments or questions, this is a recommendation from the Green Waste Commission themselves too. Mr. Peterson's here to answer any questions as well. Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning. Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2018-15.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing .3047 acre from GB General Business to RM4 Multifamily Residential located at 0 and 1213 High Street, presently owned by Arvin G. and Cornelia J. Voss.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. This is a unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning on the first reading. Are there any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2018-16.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning attractive land containing .45 acre from RM4 Multifamily Residential to GB General Business located at 986 Victoria Street, presently owned by Dathan Coffer.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Again, on first reading, a unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning for rezoning. Are there any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2018-17.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning attractive land containing 1.17 acres from AG Agriculture and F floodplain to RS1A Single-Family Residential and F floodplain located at 718 Old Porter Pike, presently owned by Mike and Yvonne Heimer.
Second?
Motion by Denning, second by Nash. Another unanimous recommendation from Planning and Zoning for a rezoning up off Porter Pike. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Yes.
Williams. Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2018-48.
Municipal order authorizing a tax-exempt loan in the amount of $3,531,021 with Farmers National Bank in order to provide financing of 6 fire trucks.
So moved.
Second?
Perigin, second by Nash. Ms. Ward.
The city is very proud of the fact that we have not issued any debt for a number of years since 2008, 2010, using general fund. And this is still not using general fund, so we're not issuing any new debt for general fund. But at the February 20th meeting, the board did approve the purchase of these 6 new trucks at $3.651 million. And I do believe that Mr. DeFebo at the time had indicated there might be a need to finance this purchase. But we did, Jeff did look at some other alternative revenue sources and how we could potentially pay cash for this purchase, but it just wasn't feasible to look at that at this point in time. So we looked at general fund, fire improvement fund. I'm not sure if there were some other funds we tried to tap, but it's just not feasible at this point to use cash to pay $3.5 million. So we are recommending the finance of $3.531 million. This is less the trade-in value that was approved with the purchase of the trucks of $120,000. And then we are going to use the fire improvement fund money to pay the 10-year loan, and it's a 3.034% interest rate. It's a fixed rate, and I guess it's actually 2.99%, but then there's some fees tacked on that brings it to the 3.01 or 3.3034%. And this will be with Farmers National Bank. Jeff did solicit, I think, 11 different financial institutions, and this was the best price that came back, the fixed rate. I believe it's a good rate for us to utilize. This would keep the costs in the fire improvement fund. They do have some debt coming off in the next year or so, and our full debt amount will still be decreasing because we continue to pay debt. So although we are adding a small percentage of debt back on the books, it is going to be offset by some other debt coming off the books. And if you have any questions, Jeff obviously can answer some of those. If you have any questions about the trucks, Chief Colson's also here.
Actually, the last time we borrowed money was in 2010 for 2 fire trucks, so it's been
Jason's fault
8
again,
years
then.
since the last truck purchase.
Any comments or questions?
Only that every time something like this comes up, I feel compelled to thank Commissioner Charlie Wilson for coming up with the idea of the Fire Improvement Fund and what that has done for the city, long after his service to the city and long after his passing, that has prevented us from having to make difficult decisions related to the general fund budget and purchases for the fire department. He had quite a vision, and I'm glad that the commission agreed with him at the time.
That fund generates about $2.2 million a year, and we make everything work on that $2.2 million a year. We maintain a fund balance, pay off all the stations, pay off all the trucks, so it's been a really good thing.
I think it's it. Other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2018-18.
Ordinance annexing property by consent. Ordinance rescinding ordinance number BG 2018-12 and annexing 143.80 acres of property located at 113 and 435 Brookwood Drive, 4701 and 4801 Morgantown Road, and 453 Rigglewood Way, with property presently owned by Jerry E. Baker, by and through the estate of Jerry E. Baker, the Jerry E. Baker Foundation Incorporated, Texas Gas Transmission LLC, and the City of Bowling Green, and 3.58 acres of right-of-way for a total of 147.38 acres, with said territory being contiguous to existing city limits.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams.
Brief question. Brief answer. why are we reading this again?
I think she's going to tell us.
I'm
Ms.
going to
Ward.
explain that. Immediately following the adoption of the last ordinance, we were notified that we had an error in the address for the Arboretum. And it is vitally important that the description and the addresses that we have on file for these annexations be accurate. So once we realized the error, and having the incorrect address also caused some errors in the legal description for the annexation. So we felt it important to go ahead and make this right by fixing it. So that's what we're bringing forward to you today, is basically rescinding the previous ordinance and putting in its place a corrected and updated ordinance. You know, you can find fault in a lot of different things, but I think everybody at this particular instance was at fault with this particular error because nobody caught it up front. And a lot of people looked at this information, including the property owners, and we all got it wrong. So as soon as we saw the error, realized that we want to get it fixed and make it right. There will be there will not be any issues with services provided to this area. We will continue to do that even in this process as we reapprove the annexation. They will still have access to city services through this process. Does that answer your question?
Great answer.
Other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. It's the last,
Thank you, Katie.
last item on our agenda. We offer the public an opportunity for public comments if they'd like to address the commission. Just, I know there are several people in the room. Just remind those people who are candidates that the city cannot provide under its contract with cable campaign advertisements, so we'll just keep it to the issues. Thank you. And you are?
My name is Libby Kelly. I live at 650 East 11th Avenue. Hi. I've lived in Bowling Green for about 7 years now, but I grew up in a town that's very unlike Bowling Green in a lot of ways. There's no Walmart or Kroger, just a hometown IGA. There's one high school that's got about a 200-person graduating class, and the coolest local hangout is the gas station parking lot. I love my hometown, but in a place that small, you don't have a great chance to find people like you. You have a better chance of finding people, like I surely did, who take all the chances that they can get to point out how you're different. I think that differences are a beautiful thing, but when one grows up in a place where they're taught that people who look differently or love differently than you do are scary and wrong, they're more inclined to get their friends to shout slurs at you in gym class because of a haircut or because of how much you said that you love Ellen DeGeneres. I know now that there are people who felt the way that I did there, but they must have been scared like me. At age 15, I moved here to Bowling Green, and I started attending Bowling Green High School, and I did something that I never could have done in my hometown. I joined the Gay Straight Alliance. I wasn't out to anyone yet, but GSA was the first place, besides with my family, where I didn't feel wrong for what was in my heart. Moving to Bowling Green allowed me to find people who unashamedly spoke their truth, and I started feeling more able to be me. But when I walked out of GSA and proudly told my friends where I was, their reactions gave me the feeling that it wasn't something I should be proud of. The more I voiced my support for the LGBT plus community and started coming out in small ways myself, the more those bigoted words I heard slung at me and my friends in gym class would come up. That's when I learned early on that bigotry and discrimination is everywhere, even in the cool place that my mom would take me on special weekends to hang out at the Greenwood Mall in Southern Lanes. That's when I learned that before I speak my own truth, I have to be sure that it's safe. Because somewhere in our history, we made it culturally wrong to be different in the way of gender identity and sexual orientation. I and people like me are unsafe everywhere. As I said, I think that differences are beautiful. They make us who we are individually. I think that once our city makes strides to show that we celebrate these differences and do as little as give our LGBT plus citizens the right to feel safe in their identity in the workplace, our culture will change to reflect that. So please give Bowling Green a fairness ordinance. Thank you.
Anyone else that needs to speak tonight? No one else?
My name is Jennifer Moreland. Okay, I would like to say what I'm gonna do the next 4 months. I'm going to establish a bus to, and you should agree with this because it's going to help a lot of people. So establish a bus to Life Skills at 5 o'clock. The small business development, to help the small business development, because this is the future. Small businesses are the future of Bowling Green, and we should be standing by. Even when they're cutting back at Western, we should be standing by the small business development, and we should. All right. And having the cops and Life Skills to have a suicide prevention class, okay, for the community. So, see, right now they only have people who work there for suicide prevention. So that's what I'm planning to do, and I'm planning to do grant writing too. And I'm trying to get the government of Bowling Green into grant writing. And I am for the Fairness Act, but that's what I'm planning to do. So I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. And if you're interested in helping me, let me know.
Anyone else? Last call. Thank you.
Kelly Embry, 155 Tyler Drive, Smiths Grove, Kentucky. Same resolution. I was informed last week that this might not be the best venue for a resolution of this type. I disagree. So do the city councils of Eminence, Henderson, Lexington, Louisville, Mount Washington, Perryville, Junction City, Maysville, Frenchburg, and Hillview, as well as the Harrison County and Menifee County fiscal courts. They have passed similar resolutions to support the advancement of cannabis reform in the state of Kentucky. I ask that you all do the same as well. It's so much more than just a symbolic show of support with your fellow citizens. It is a chance for you to take a stand that hasn't been taken in 80 years and should have been. It's a chance to roll back stigma and lies that have kept relatively harmless substance and a definitely beneficial substance for many people out of their hands and in the black market. We've heard a lot of talk today about jobs and how we want people to be working. We can bring more jobs to the state of Kentucky and the community of Bowling Green and Warren County as well through the advancement of cannabis reform laws. We've seen in states where cannabis has been legalized for medical and recreational purposes a huge influx of jobs. Growers, our farmers, we can put farmers back to work. There are so many uses for hemp and its related products that we can take our coal miners that have been out of work in eastern Kentucky, put them back to work manufacturing hemp pellets, which are a much cleaner and greener option to coal. We have the opportunity to show our state government, which has not been doing its job. It's been kicking the can down the road. We have the chance to show them that we do support this because we support our sick patients that can benefit from this medicine, that we support children who have seizures that can be stopped through cannabis, that we have people that we can put back to work. We have fields and farmers that can be once again what they were with a crop that is already being grown in the state of Kentucky. If you believe that people aren't smoking marijuana, whether, again, for medicinal purposes or recreational purposes, you have your head in the sand. They will continue to do that. What we're asking is that you pass a resolution to tell the state of Kentucky that we would support the industry, the opportunities that would come along with that industry, and the chance to put people to work here and to do the studies that people say aren't being done, to show them that we can make it work, to prove, just like in other states, that the sky doesn't fall when you lean on a God-given plant. Thank you.
Let me just make one comment, sir. As a former Bowling Green policeman and as a former Kentucky State Trooper, I will not put my signature on anything pertaining to the development, growth, and or sale of your particular product.
Now we've got somebody else coming up here now.
Hello,
Your name is?
My name is Cody Joe Patton.
Say again.
My name is Cody Joe Patton. I am from Sweden, Kentucky. Just kind of wanted to come up here and share some of my backstory and a little bit of what cannabis has brought to me and in my life. When I was about 11, 12 years old, I was introduced to cannabis. I had ADHD really, really bad. Introduced to cannabis. They had me on Ritalin and Adderall and 100 different pharmaceutical drugs. It kept me up night after night after night as a child. And once I tried marijuana, it calmed me down. I no longer had those fits and had that rage kind of flowing through me. You'd be so focused on your work or whatnot, and then someone would stop you, then you'd get upset because you're kind of doing what you're supposed to do. And cannabis brought that calmness to my life. Once I was about 16, 17 years old, my mom had a pretty bad wreck here in Warren County, and it took her hearing. Her head swelled up, and they put her on pharmaceuticals and drugs of that nature. And I watched my mom bunker up in a bedroom. She took her medicine like she was supposed to. She was not an addict. She didn't use medication in that way, but I watched her for years take it on schedule like she was supposed to, and it turned her into a zombie. I was able to convince my mom to put the pills down and smoke, and I handed her a joint, and I was done a grown man by that time, done an adult, and she smoked it, and she's not touched a pharmaceutical since. It was just a few years later after this scenario, my mom come down with spinal cancer, an inoperable type and form of cancer due to the steroids and the medication that she had been on because of the wreck and the recovery that come along with it. And she'd come down with cancer. She just smoked long enough to get off the medication, to quit hurting and that kind of thing, controlled the substance instead of the substance controlling her. And I witnessed my mom develop cancer over the medicines that the doctors here in Warren County give her. And about a two-year period of smoking cannabis daily, my mom is a living example. She no longer has cancer. She's had multiple doctor visits, CAT scans, whatever you want to call it, multiple visits. She no longer has cancer. It's proof in the pudding. She had cancer. She no longer has cancer. Back in 2011, I got caught cultivating cannabis. I got caught with about 250 plants indoor. It was a large scale cannabis operation. And I kind of was inspired once my mother had, once I feel like me and God cured my mother's cancer. And I got out on parole, walked my parole down, done my prison time, beat all the statistical odds to come home to my daddy with the same type of cancer. Now this state and the gentlemen in these badges, not all of them are bad, and people have...
I'm sorry, sir, your time has expired. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name's Chuck Swift. I'm from Hodgenville, Kentucky. I'm a handicapped vet. I've been a chronic pain patient since 1983. For the last decade, I've been given medical marijuana, synthetic medical marijuana called Durabinol. It's synthetic. It doesn't have all of the components in it that the actual medication has. I understand in the societal problems that some people see, but with this medication that I'm on, I can get no better until I'm able to get the capsules that are from the actual plant itself, and then I can get rid of my tendinitis that I've had for 10 years because it's been disallowed by this society. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
How y'all doing today? I'm Matthew Bratcher. I live at 240 Hanover Court, Bowling Green. I'm Executive Director for the Kentucky State Affiliate for the National Organization to Reform Marijuana Laws. I also work here in town for Iconic Television, but more specifically in the Cannabis Division. What we do, we make digital signs and menus and broadcast a streaming network over 300 dispensaries in over 16 states. We've been featured in several major publications, including Forbes, and last year we secured over $5 million in investment. We employ 20 people locally, and each of us pay local, state, and federal taxes. We shop in our retail stores, we eat in our restaurants, and we put money back into the local economy, and we never touch the plant. Other ancillary companies that will experience a boon from the cannabis industry are plumbing companies, HVAC, security solutions, building supply companies, staffing and payroll, cultivation products and services, software and technology, extraction and distillation equipment, consulting, packaging, lab testing, media and publishing, trade associations, investment, legal services, advertising, marketing, and PR, as well as retail solutions. The top 6 of these companies earned over $45 million last year each. You want new money to invest in the future in Bowling Green, into development, into tourism, into our police and fire departments, you'll find that money in the cannabis industry and the businesses that grow up around it. This commission's support of cannabis legislation in Frankfort goes a long way to our legislators. You may see yourself as a fiduciary commission. Well, you can't argue with the amount of money that the cannabis industry will generate. Thank you all very much.
Anybody else?
Hello, I'm Daniel Johnson, the statesman. I'm here on to talk on 2 things. House Bill 166. I would like to ask the City Council of Bowling Green to sponsor and put this on the agenda so that we can vote on it, that our city can vote on the House Bill 166.
Why don't you talk to the people who actually make that vote rather than us? Why are
Well,
you here?
sir, because you guys have to sponsor it to put it on your agenda.
No, sir.
One of you guys do.
No, what I'm talking about is why are you talking to us about Senate Bill or House Bill 66?
Sir, I only have, because I want you.
I've got your time held.
Okay, I want you guys to sponsor a resolution and send it to Frankfurt, just like the Louisville did and Lexington did.
Well,
All right,
we're not Louisville and Lexington.
all right,
We're
my
not,
second.
We're not resolution passers and that sort of thing.
Yes, sir, I
matter
understand
to
that.
the public. I mean, you get your 3
Right.
minutes and you'll get your.
Yes,
your
sir.
3 minutes.
I have another
let me talk
business,
for a second.
too.
Stop interrupting me just a moment. You get your 3 seconds. We're not going to pass resolutions. We don't get involved in state politics. We don't get involved in national politics. We don't get involved in international politics. You know, it's going to be a point at which, you know, you get lost in the crowd because everybody wants this resolution.
Yes,
But-
sir.
But I understand what you're trying to do, but you're talking to the wrong people. You need to talk to your state representatives. That's who represents you at the state government.
Sir, I know-
Don't interrupt me yet. I'm not finished. If you got an issue with the national government, then you need to talk to your senators or representatives. Asking us to pass a resolution is meaningless. We're not going to do that. We're not going to get involved in your state or national politics. I just want you to understand that coming in, okay?
Yes, sir.
All
Mr.
right.
Wilkinson,
All right, go ahead there.
I am a candidate for the 2018
Okay, then your
General
time-
Assembly
your
election.
time is over, Dan.
I have a second one. This is how you do business. I got 500 signatures right here from the city of Bowling Green for you for a petition resolution for fluoride. 500.